Hey, what's up guys and welcome back to Anime Symbol, and today I'm going to be giving you part 2 of What If Naruto Was Neglected with the Black Rinnegan, guys. Remember to give this one to 100 likes as usual. Share this to all of your friends on your social media platform. And don't forget to go ahead and check out the new series, What If Naruto Was Taken from His Family and Experimented On. And enjoy that, guys. And also, don't forget to go ahead and check out the other channels. A poll will be up soon for you guys to vote. So yeah, stay in tune for that, and I do hope you guys enjoy. So without further ado or wasting any more time, what do you say we jump right into this brand new episode, shall we? Start the intro. So the last time we left off, Mito and Namikaze burst into the Hokage's office to speak with their father, who was Minato Namikaze, as she wanted to show off that she finally accomplished what she was tasked to do. She held out her hand as she started to sweat. Slowly but surely, a ball of energy started to form. This was no normal ball of energy. It was the Rasengan. It was a family technique by now. It was created by Minato, learned by his sensei Jiraiya, and copied by his student Kakashi. And now Mito finally learned it. She was so excited as Minato smiled down towards her. She took a lot after her mother. However, she took after his features, but she had bright red hair like her mother. She had the nine-tailed beast sealed within her, because of the sacrifice the third Hokage made all those years ago. She was currently 12 years old. The graduation exam for the academy will be starting soon, and she was sure that she will ace it. Despite having a large amount of chakra, she was able to control it to a degree, but she was not an expert. Minato was left in deep thought as he smiled at her, as he thought about his son. Yes, he had a son. However, the boy was probably long dead by now, he thought. It was a mistake that would forever haunt him. We then skipped towards the unknown area. Orochimaru of the Sanins was packing up as he was getting ready to move. Orochimaru was fleeing from someone. He had several enemies throughout his lifetime. The Akatsuki was one of his greatest, but there was also someone else, a single individual that Orochimaru fled from because of his eyes and the ability that they possess. The Sannin was not aware of the full capability of those eyes, not to mention that he's seen them before on the leader of the Akatsuki, but these were far different and vastly more powerful. So Orochimaru decided to pack his stuff and get out of there. Sometime later, the person finally arrived. As he calmly made his way, he did not take too long to arrive towards the location. That is when he was attacked by several sound ninjas. He was fast, calculated, and swift. He also showed not even a shred of mercy as he skewered them all. Once he got closer though, he was attacked by several others. They tried to weigh him down as another set the entire base to go up in flames. A colossal explosion happened, but he was somewhat unharmed, not even a scratch. This made no sense as the others attacked him. By the time he was finished, a pile of bodies were left as he set them ablaze and made his way off. He was communicating with someone as he sent a letter back towards a person. That is when he got something else. It was from the Raikage. With that, he decided to make his way towards where the man had sent him. The Raikage came across this boy some time ago. The boy was sent to kill his person of interest, but the Raikage of course won, but instead of killing him, he decided to make the boy become a liaison for him. The boy worked for the highest price, and there was many things that the Raikage want to be completed without his shinobis getting involved. So he sent this boy, which is none other than Naruto Oda, that was his last name, to go and assassinate our newly appointed leader of the Land of Lightning, because the Raikage had someone else to be placed in that position. As Naruto arrived, that is when you were able to see the full display of the strange black Rinnegan. He was able to sneak in as he placed a hand on the individual's head. Naruto was able to find the person inside of a mindscape where they battled, and he won. Once he won, Naruto take full control over the person as he bound their soul. He used the individual body to stab the elective winner in the heart before he proceeded to make the other one kill him. Yes, these eyes had a tiny bit of soul manipulation. More will be discussed about that later though. As he made his way off, the Raikage sent him his payment by the bird, as Naruto proceeded to head home. His home was located in an isolated area. Living there was Karin Uzumaki, and also Menma Uzumaki. He was Karin's younger brother. She had a horrible life. As they were taken towards the land of grass, her mother was forcefully used until she was killed, until they want to do the same to her. So she decided to run. Orochimaru had found her and her brother, and he wanted to experiment on her brother as well, because her brother chakra was extremely thick, nothing like the Sannin has ever seen before. While he did not inherit Karin and her mother's special ability, he was still a very powerful source of power. So with that, she was there for a couple of years, to be quite exact, until she came across that boy. Eventually, some kind of connection was born between them as she freed him. Since he was free, no longer bound by the seals, Naruto has been hunting Orochimaru, who knew that he made a big mistake because all of his experiments just made the boy a lot more powerful. As Naruto came back and greeted the both of them, Karin had turned into a wonderful cook, and her food was delicious. As Naruto started to think about his life, how did he end up here? Minato Namikaze was his father. There was something bad that happened between him and Kushina, and Minato slept with his mother. Her name was Lucy Oda. However, when he got back with Kushina, he tried to put his mother out of the picture until she said that she was going to become public with it, because Naruto was his rightful heir. That was when his mother ended up in the hospital by unknown reasons. She died sometime later, leaving Naruto alone. Naruto had barged into the Hokage's office by, well, young naive anger. Minato knew that he couldn't allow anyone to know what the child was trying to say. So he took the very young Naruto by then and took him out of the village and left him in the wilderness. Food and everything that he needed to survive for some time, to not return back to the Hidden Leaf. Naruto was angry and alone. Orochimaru had found him and got a vast interest in the boy. After the experience of rage and hate awakened those extremely powerful eyes. So that is how he ended up there until Karin rescued him. However, Naruto's soul had been, well, fractured by all the experiments. Some might say that he was insane, which was actually quite true. The only people that held him together was Karin and Menma, as Naruto swore to get vengeance on Minato. Karin was in full support of this, after what Minato had done to him, as Naruto was going to make him pay. So yeah guys, basically let's be left off. You guys can switch across the place, check it out for yourself. So what is it, we jump right into this brand new episode again. Now guys, Kushina Uzumaki was currently inside of the house until she heard the front door. She could hear the aggression in the way the person closed it. As she waited in the living room, it did not take too long for Mito to come inside, dragging her bag. As she left it on the ground, she then proceeded to collapse on the ground, her arms spread. She did not seem tired, however she seemed bored. as her mother had this little smile on her face that irritated her even more. "This is not funny," she said. "Well, from my point of view, it is rather hilarious," Kushina said with a cheeky smile. "I told you that. We all went through it. Even your father and I. What did you expect?" "I expected some boring missions, but come on, Mom. I'm not trying to be cocky or anything, but I'm far stronger than a lot of the Jennings in my class. This is just a huge waste of my talent, and I'm sick of it. Sensei doesn't even want to pick a higher rank mission. It's almost like he's punishing us for some unknown reason." "Or else," said Mito as she gave her mother a suspicious glance. "And what's with that look?" Kushina said. "You and Dad love me really much. I wonder if you guys bribed Kakashi to keep us doing D-rank missions." Kushina crossed her arms. "Yes, I love you very much, but I would never stunt your growth. How could you even say that?" I just don't know what to think anymore," said Mito, as she lowered her head. "I really just can't anymore with all these damn D-rank missions. They're so boring," she said. "It will get better, trust me. But I've already told you that all Shinobis have to go through this. It builds character." "Well, I think I have enough character, Mom." You say that now, but just wait and see," said Kushina. "Don't worry, honey," she said. "It will get better." "Yeah, I'm sure you're right," as Mito simply leaned back on the ground. She became a Genin. It's been at least 3 weeks now. And throughout those 3 weeks, it's been nothing but boring. Yes, exhaustingly boring. She was placed on a team with Haruna Sakura and Sasuke Uchiha. At least the team was good for one thing. It allowed her time to reconnect with Sasuke. They were the best of friends when they were younger. Whenever her mother took him towards the Uchiha compound, or whenever Mikoto Uchiha came over. Sadly, she's gone now, and she could understand that Sasuke was no longer the same person after what he'd been through. She had heard some rather sensitive information that she should not heard. Itachi had tortured Sasuke in a mental capacity. She still couldn't understand why would he do that. Itachi was a very nice person, as she met him on numerous occasions. For him to do that to Sasuke was just unthinkable. She pulled herself up. She was still dirty. She was going to get washed up and get moving as she made her way. She had promised Ino and Hinata that she would hang out with them today. Maybe Sakura would be interested in coming along. She doubted that Sasuke would agree to this with so much girls. Many might not know this, but Sasuke was more than just antisocial. He hated being looked upon by everyone at once. And with all these girls and just him, the only boy, she doubted that he would ever agree to this. She just hoped that she would get a higher rank mission soon enough. However, she had no idea how badly her first mission would go. Meanwhile, that was going on. Minma Uzumaki, his red hair was blowing in the wind. He attacked with ferocity. He swung a brutal kick. He punched, he lashed out. But it seems like nothing that he did was working. He decided to switch to chakra manipulation. A chain appeared in his palm. It was red, constructed from his overwhelming amount of chakra. He lashed it out. It wrapped around the individual that he was fighting. That is when a smirk came on his face. He created an armor around his midsection as he felt 2 fingertips placed on it. "Got you now," he said. The armor opened up and extended, trying to grab the hand. And he successfully did. He looked toward the chain as he saw the copy of Naruto poofed away. He then glanced over his shoulder. His eyes closed in an eye smile, a grin on his face. "I finally got you," he said. However, he felt a strange disturbance. "No way. I can't be tricked 3 times in a row," he said. He felt a bump on top of his head as he glanced up to see Naruto levitating in mid-air just for a moment before he proceeded to get on his feet. Menma dispelled the armor as the Naruto that was Hellbite was gone as well. He plopped down on the ground. Even after all of that, I still can't get you not even once. It's totally unfair, he said. Well, that's because I'm not taking it easy on you, said Naruto. But why not, said Menma. Well, it's simple. If I don't take it easy on you, the day that you finally touch me, you will know that you've grown tremendously. And trust me, you've come a long way since when we just started. I have? Of course you have. You're a lot faster and stronger. And not to mention, you have a greater control over your chakra. You couldn't do that in the beginning, could you? Menma looked at his hand. I guess you're right, he said, as he glanced back up with a smile. As Naruto roughly is here, why don't you go and get washed up? Menma flipped to his feet. Sure thing, he said, as he ran off. As Naruto watched him leave, he wanted to keep Menma out of everything. So did Karen. Because somehow he was able to retain his childlike nature. He was so innocent and pure. However, there were some wrongs that Naruto just could not forgive. Something that he had to do, otherwise it would fester inside of him and eventually explode. But he had a purpose to keep Menma away from all of this. He does not deserve to see the darkness that linger inside of him. As Naruto glanced up towards the heavens, 2 days ago he received a mission from one of his top clients. This man was very wealthy. Perhaps he was the richest man in the entire world. However, no one knew that. No one knew that. Because his money was all underground. Not physically, but it was the underground market, where the darkness of the world is kept. Things that normal people would not even dream of. He wanted someone gone. It turns out this individual was also quite wealthy as well, and he was a big name. His name was Gato. However, he was currently on the move. He got information, as Naruto was rather grateful for that, so he did not have to scour the place for Gato, even though he had a few informants that would find him. Gato was returning back to a village known as Land of Wave. Not that village exactly, but near the premises. Turns out that he was trying to subjugate it and take it under his control, where he would run his underground expenses. However, it was Naruto's mission to eliminate him. So his current handler will be able to take over the territories that Gato would be leaving neglected once he was dead. He will move out in a week's time to complete his mission. He was still gazing up toward the sky as he felt a sensation. That is when he saw his mother's face. An image of her lying on the hospital bed. And there was nothing that he could do about it. He lowered his head as he grabbed his right eye, which was pulsating. He took several deep breaths, calming himself. For some reason, sometimes he just get agitated. The darkness inside of him wanted him to go and kill Minato as we speak. However, that would be too easy. He wanted to destroy the man. That is why he was waiting until the upcoming Chunin exams. He's been waiting for so long now. It will be held at Konoha. This was a perfect time. Minato's daughter. After all, he did not see her as anything. However, he doubted that she was not a ninja yet, which means she would probably be there, even if she was not participating. He wanted Minato to know how he felt when he took everything away from him. The only person that he ever cared about, his mother, who loved him. And right as she was about to tell the world about him, she was suddenly poisoned by something that the doctors could do nothing about. Soon after she died, and then he was taken to a location where he had no idea where it was. The man had just thrown him there, his own blood, just to protect his image, just to get back with this Kushina woman. He wondered, how would she feel about knowing the truth as well? he thought with a smile on his face. He took a deep breath. He couldn't allow the darkness to reign outside for too long. If it did, it would consume him. And he definitely couldn't allow it to rain outside when he was away from Menma or Karen, because there might be no recovering for him to return back to a normal state of mind. He knew this by now, that he was not right 100% in the head. It was like there was another entity living inside of him that seek chaos and destruction. And when he dived too deep in it, he became mindless, a being of pure death. Looking down towards both of his palms, it took him a long while to learn how to control his abilities and learn to know what he can do. He spent more than 3 years focusing just on his body, so that he would be fast enough, so that he would be strong enough, and he was still not yet finished. He needed to become the ultimate weapon, the ultimate killer, if he was going to achieve everything that he wanted. Because after Minato is dealt with, he had plans, he had dreams, he had goals. It might sound insane, but he will create a world where children like Menma could keep their innocence, where they don't have to suffer. He will create a world where Karen can be happy, knowing that no one would ever use her because of her bloodline, just like what they did with her mother. Speaking of that, he wondered how the people in the Land of Grass was doing. That brought an amused smile to his face. They deserve every single second of what happened to them. With that, he made his way towards a house. Time skip, unknown area. A large white-haired man was glancing down towards the civilization down below. This man was none other than Jiraiya of the Sannin. As he glanced down towards the village down below, Jiraiya has been hunting someone for some time now, because he believed that this person might be connected to one of Minato's biggest secrets. His first clue came to him when he had visited the Land of Grass to find out what truly happened there. It turns out that 85% of their entire shinobi population was erased, and these deaths were not normal. It seems like something with high speeds had punctured their bodies, ripping them limb from limb in a frustrated anger way. He could tell that whoever it was very angry, very emotional about whatever was going on. It was a truly disturbing scene. Those who were spared, for reasons that they did not know, said that it was two individuals, a female with red hair and a male with blonde hair. At first, Jiraiya believed that it was just some powerful up-and-comers. However, as he started to do more investigating, he started to hear rumors, he started to hear whispers of this harbinger of death. They say that he had golden hair like the sun, and he also had eyes that were cryptic and dark. They had black, written patterns that swirled together. That got Jiraiya a bit more interested in this. He put in word every now and again to his spies, and the more he found out, the more it seems like he was actually right. The boy was the same age. From his description that people were told, he was not trying to hide. He seemed to not fear anyone in the work that he does, which was tremendously dangerous. It seems like a very rich and powerful set of people always have a way of contacting him. However, despite his vast research into this, Jiraiya has got nothing. He did not know the name or anything, but the blonde hair and the eyes. He didn't know why. It could be any other person with blonde hair, but for some reason, he believed that this boy was connected to Minato. And there was one reason for that. He heard some rumors that his first name began with an N. Yes, the letter N. He had no idea where those rumors came from, or if they were even true. However, Jiraiya had to be cautious. He has not told Minato any of this because at first he did not believe it himself, and he was not looking into it. That is when one of his spies told him that a shinobi that was formerly from the Land of Sound had been seen in a bar, drinking and telling what happened to several people. That the posts that they were guarding were attacked by one single individual. The person had told him not to move, and he did not, and his life was spared, while the others were slaughtered. Yes, it was the same shinobi that Naruto speared. However, the Sound Ninja was not aware of who he was. Orochimaru kept the information about the person coming after him tightly to his chest. They just knew that a blonde-haired individual was coming, and they had to kill him. At first, Jiraiya thought that this just might be one of Orochimaru's enemies. However, soon after, the Sound Ninja had disappeared before Jiraiya or his spies could get to him. He just vanished, like he never existed in the first place. And the Sannin was more cautious about that. He might be just overthinking things here. But ever since he found out that Minato got another woman pregnant while him and Kushina were at each other's throats a lot, it was a mistake. He drank a lot on that night and woke up the next morning. When the woman came to him about she was pregnant, it had scared the living shit out of him, and he didn't want to lose Kushina. Jiraiya saw how fragile his student was in that moment, and he helped him cover it up. However, Minato might have gone a bit too far in his paranoid state. Jiraiya wasn't aware of what happened until he arrived and Minato told him. Yes, he was upset, but eventually he agreed that maybe he did the right thing. After all, this would have screwed up everything that he had with Kushina if she found out. So he was a part of this just because he wanted to protect the family that his student had started. But what about that boy? Why did he deserve that? And Minato went too far when it came to the boy's mother, even though she was going to blackmail him with the information that Minato told Jiraiya. Still, he was an accomplice, as he was the only other person in the world that knew about this. And now, he also has been paranoid, and this has been getting to him. Mito deserved to be raised in a happy family. They did not need this blowing up their family. After all, if that boy had truly become this dangerous individual, which they call the harbinger of death, this was a lot more worrisome than he could ever believe. He just had to find him before he decided to take his vengeance on the Hidden Leaf. And despite everything, he was a loyal Konoha shinobi first, and he would do whatever it takes to keep the Hokage and the village safe. Whatever it takes, Jiraiya thought to himself. No one could hide forever. He will find him sooner or later. With that, he packed his stuff as he made his way down. Time skip. Naruto's eyes were closed as he had his blade in his hand. He was without a shirt. Surrounding him was 10 copies of himself. They all had blades in their hands. They rushed towards him as they clashed. Naruto spun in a deadly dance of blades. He sliced through the first one. It burst into water. This fighting style was not normal. 1 year after him, Karin and Menma escaped from Orochimaru when he started to take on jobs. He was sent to kill a man known as Kenjin the Great. By then, Naruto had a blade, but he was not that efficient. Kenjin used a piece of stick and was able to disarm his blade, while Naruto had an extreme amount of power in his eyes. He was nowhere close in terms of swordsmanship. Strangely enough, Kenjin offered to teach him. Naruto figured that the man was just trying to escape his death. However, he said that he wanted to pass his teaching on before he died. He was in his early 80s. Naruto was surprised that someone so old could still wield a blade like that. It turns out that it was his family that created the blades for the 7 ninja swordsmen of Kiri. Naruto could sense no deceit from him, especially when you look at him with his eyes. So he took Kenjin up on that offer. For the next few years, Kenjin trained him. He told him that by the end of his training they would fight, and he will try to kill him. So they did. He was happy. Even as Naruto drove his blade through his heart, he was smiling. Naruto knew that was what he wanted. to pass his teachings on before he died. He had no idea why he left the village. That was his first contract that he never completed because Kenjin became his master. And now, he was better than ever. He was trained by possibly the greatest swordsman to ever walk this earth. That is why, even with his eyes closed, he was able to destroy all of his clones. The eyes must not be the greatest weapon of sight. The body was. The feel, the vibration, the movements. To react, the instinct must always be to strike. Hesitation will cause death. Naruto was sweating heavily by this point. As he turned his gaze, "You enjoy the show?" he asked. Standing there was Karin. Her cheeks were a bit red, as she had a towel in her hand. He looked towards her with a smile. As he held his hand out, she tossed the towel as he caught it, as he started to wipe his face off. Her gaze turned towards him as he starts to use it to dab the sweat on his body. That is when she realized that he was looking at her from the corner of his eye. As she looked away, "You know, I truly don't understand why you're so embarrassed." "Who said I'm embarrassed?" she said to him. "Well, the look on your face," said Naruto. "I mean, we have slept in the same bed on numerous occasions." That's different," she said. "Yes, it is a lot more closer than this." As Naruto appeared in front of her, she was used to his little gimmicks. As he looked at her, she tried to push him away, but he held her hand and placed it against his chest. Once again she blushed. "What? Don't like what you see?" he asked her, as she tried to pull away her hand, but she was not using that amount of force. That is when he suddenly hugged her. She started to fight him off now because he was making his sweat get on her, as he was laughing the entire time until they broke apart. She kicked him down towards the ground as he collapsed on his back. As he kicked her feet away, he held his hand out to catch her though, as he gently rested her down. "Bastard," she said to him. "Yep," said Naruto, as that made the both of them laugh. "You know," said Naruto, as he was glancing up at the sky the entire time, "I never actually thought about it. I mean, we sleep in the same bed. It's been like that for a very long time. We're closer than most people, even people in a relationship." "Where are you going with this?" she asked him. "It's just we never talk about it, but what exactly are we?" As she looked over towards him, he was now looking at her. His eyes seemed to be looking right in her soul, bypassing her normal facial expression and going deeper. I don't know," she said. She herself had never truly tried to define what they were, because it would bring up so many unanswered questions. His next words shocked and surprised her. "I think I love you," he said. Her eyes went wide. "I mean, I've never felt more happier than when I'm around you," said Naruto. "Knowing that I'm coming home to see you, and Menma as well. It's different with Menma though. He feels like my little brother. But you on the other hand, this strange feeling always well up in my chest. I'm not sure what the definition of love is. I've never truly had it before. I knew I loved my mother, but she was my mom, and I was so young back then. But this is two different love. So yeah, I think I love you," he said to her. "Well, at least that is what I feel." "What's up with that look?" he asked her. "You know that's a very big thing to say, right?" "It is?" Naruto asked. She nodded her head. He could be so smart in other stuff, but clueless in several others. However, she also felt the feeling that he was talking about, because both of us are so close together. I didn't want to jinx it or even talk about it, but I think I feel the same way," she said, looking directly into his eyes. She was the only one that seemed to be able to look into them without feeling a sense of dread or fear. as Naruto smiled at her. They just lie there, enjoying the night sky, even though they just said something rather personal and huge. Time skip. Mito was all smile as she was packing her things. The smile on her face was one of radiance. She was extremely happy. Kakashi told them that they would be taking their first C rank. They were going to be escorting a man towards the land of Wave. His name was Tazuna. This was her first mission outside the village. She's been out the village before, but this was her first mission. And they were supposed to pack for at least 2 weeks. They were to expect bandits and crooks. She was happy. This will be her first chance to test her skills, to show that she had what it takes to become one of the world's greatest kunoichi to ever live. She went through hand sign as she started to seal her things away in a scroll. She was really good at Fuinjutsu for her age, nothing too advanced, given that both of her parents dabble in Fuinjutsu. It was expected of her. As she packed her things up, "Do you have everything?" her mother asked. Mito released a sigh. "Yes, Mom. For the 10th time, yes." "It's your first mission outside of the village. I just want to make sure that you're prepared," said Kushina. "I know, but I am prepared," she said. "Don't worry," she said. "I got this." As she gave her a bright smile. "Alright, honey," she said, as Mito picked up the kunai that her father gave her just in case. Just in case everything went to hell. That was basically what it represented, as she stuffed it within her bag. With that said, she said goodbye to her mother, who told her to be careful. As she made her way towards the gate, arriving there, she found Sasuke leaning up against a post. "Hey Sasuke," she said. He turned towards her, that expression still lingering on his face. "So this is exciting, huh? Our first mission outside the village. Well, at least I'll finally be able to test myself, other than doing some chores," Sasuke said. "I know exactly what you mean," she said. Ever since they were placed in a team, their friendship started to fix back. They started to talk more often, and he was not being as stuck up or as quiet as usual. And she was glad for that. "Hey guys." She turned as she saw Sakura, the last member of her team, heading their way. "So, I guess we're ready, huh?" "Well, we are," said Mito. Sakura released a heavy breath. "Yeah." As they saw the client making his way. He is gonna be bummed out when he finds out that Sensei is not gonna be here just yet. "Well, we should tell him," Sakura said. Sometime later. "Yo," said Kakashi. Tazuna turned towards the man. "Really? That is all you have to say? Yo." "We told you what was gonna happen, didn't we?" Sakura told him. "Yes, but this is just ridiculous." Kakashi looked towards them with his usual bored expression as he told them to get into formation. It's time for them to get moving. So with that, they headed out. Time skip. Sakura was asking the client about the military power of the land of Wave, as Kakashi explained to her that not every village has a ninja program. Some villages are just that, and not ninja villages. As they were passing by, her mother and father always told her to keep a keen eye. Mito noticed a puddle, which was really strange because today was scorching, so this did not make any sense. And given how long they were walking for, and there was no other water source around, and rain did not fall recently, she glanced towards her sensei, who seemed to not have noticed it. However, Kakashi was trained by her father. She doubted that he did not notice. Perhaps he wanted to see what they would do. She was quiet because she did not know how to do this. If she said something now, maybe it would draw too much attention. She quickly reached into her kunai holster when she noticed her hand was shaking. This was going to be her first encounter with an actual enemy. A real enemy. That must be the reason why her hand was trembling this way. She took several deep breaths as they walked by it. Nothing happened at first. That was when they exploded outwards. She tossed her kunai instantaneously, but the one on the right knocked it away. They were able to grab Kakashi as they tore him apart. Sakura's eyes went wide. Before she screamed, Mito shouted, "Get into formation!" The group wasted no time. Seeing the danger of the situation, Sasuke already had two kunais as he launched. The first one, the second one closely behind. The first one was deflected but the second one pinned. They're chained to the ground. Suddenly, Mito flared her chakra as a chain came from her back and grabbed Sasuke around the waist. It tossed him up in the air. Sasuke blurred through hand sign. Fire style. Fireball jutsu. The demon brothers are forced separated as Mito created 4 clones, 2 to attack each. Sasuke landed and tossed 4 kunais, forcing the demon brothers to jump apart as he gave the clones time to rush forward and slam into the left one's sternum. The right one was able to dispel the first clone and then slash the second clone. He then started to rush towards Sasuke until his ankle was grabbed by the chain and yanked. He slammed hard on the ground as Sasuke rushed forward, kunai extending until Kakashi stopped him as he arrived and stepped into the shinobi's back, pressing him against the ground with a tremendous amount of force as he rested his hand on Sasuke's shoulder. Sakura was standing in front of the client, her kunai up ready to guard the man at any moment notice. "Sensei, you're alive!" Sakura said as she turned her gaze towards where she saw several broken piles of wood and discarded pieces. She turned back towards Kakashi who was giving them an eye smile. Kakashi's face became serious as he turned his gaze towards the forest. He looked around for a split second, trying to find what he just felt. Maybe he was just hallucinating, he thought to himself. Because of the current situation, he doubted there would be a ninja that was so fast that he could not even see. In this area, as he turned his gaze back towards the demon brother on the ground, he congratulated his team on nice teamwork together. All those sessions of teamwork paid off rather well. They were able to work together without a lot of words. And he was proud. Yes, a very proud sensei. While that was going on though, a distance away Naruto sat in a tree. The smile on his face, he couldn't be more happy. Of all the person to run into, the student of Minato Namikaze, the last remaining student, Kakashi Hatake. By the end of the day, Minato will have no student remaining, he thought to himself. A dangerous, wicked look in his eyes. Flashback. Naruto had set out. The land of Wave was close towards Konoha, so he had to be careful, and he could not take the opposite way because the place was split by the ocean, so he had to go around Konoha's side. He was able to bypass any security that linger out in the Fire Nation, that being envoys that roam the area on most occasions. Once he was able to get by, he moved by, going around so he would not pass the gate of Konoha. It's been a very long time since he's been to that place. However, now was not the time. As he was taken to the trees, he heard a scream, unaware that it was Sakura. When he arrived, Naruto caught a rather surprising scene. Just by one gaze, he could tell who she was. Minato had married the last Uzumaki within the village. That red hair, and not to mention those chains, were a dead giveaway. It was their daughter, Naruto thought. He had noticed Kakashi hiding within the trees, perhaps testing his team to make sure that they would be ready just in case. This was good. He would not allow them to get to their destination. He had no idea who that old man was. But he was not here for them. He was here for Kakashi. He has to die. Time skip. The group agreed to go, as Kakashi sent Pakon back to the village to ask for reinforcements just in case. By that time, Naruto was long gone. Meanwhile, Zabuza Momokai was waiting, along with his apprentice Haku. The demon brothers were sent to stop the old man before he could get back. The chance of them actually completing this was not too high. Zabuza believed that his interference would still have to be won. If the bridge builder get a competent team from Konoha, they would not win that. So he was just waiting. Haku by his side. He told Haku to go ahead and scout the area, to inform him of when they would be here, and who it would be. So with that, the lonely ninja made his way off. Haku arrived towards near the shore, gazing from the tree. Haku felt a sensation. He didn't know why, but it was almost like his body was warning him, yet he did not see or sense anyone. In a split second, because of his speed, he was able to get away. However, when he landed down on the ground, his mask broke and fell to the ground. Haku was in complete shock. He doubted that the person was able to reach him, and yet his mask was sliced. That is when he saw the individual. He had blonde hair and strange eyes. Being people that criminal people usually came to complete dangerous missions. Haku had heard Zabuza talking about this individual that has been going through the underworld and completing several dangerous missions. They say that he was known as a harbinger of death. Because of any mission involving death he took, they were always completed, and bodies were always left in his wake. They say that he had odd eyes, which no one could truly explain. Haku moved as a person was already behind him. He spun and launched 3 senbons that he created from ice. They were destroyed in a split second. A feet slammed into his guts. The force sent him sailing as he smashed right through a tree. He collapsed on his back. He looked up to see a blade about to take his head clean off when the person was knocked away by Zabuza's blade. It was a good thing that Zabuza was not too far away. Haku watches the individual flip and landed on his feet without saying a single word. Zabuza held his hand up as Haku took it as he picked him up. "What the hell is going on?" he said. "I don't know. He just appeared out of nowhere and started to attack me." "Who the hell are you?" Zabuza asked. "I take it you both work for Gato." It wasn't hard to put it together. That man was somehow against Gato, that is why. Konoha was here because he hired them. And these individuals were here to protect Gato, or his assets, whatever. However, he was surprised that Konoha would send children to fight these dangerous shinobis. However, that is not important right now. Zabuza stepped forward. "And I take it that you're here to kill him, aren't you?" He could tell, just by the way he looked, just by the way he asked the question. "Well, I'm sorry, but you're gonna have to wait until I get my payment." Unfortunately though, that is not the option. Naruto shot forward, intending on taking the two of them on. Haku leaped away instantly as both Naruto and Zabuza clashed. Despite his larger frame and his blade long reach, Zabuza found himself being knocked back, which was rather surprising. This kid was monstrously strong. That is when several senbons were sent towards Naruto to take him out quickly. However, he turned as Zabuza had the chance, but he was able to destroy the senbon so quickly it was startling. He destroyed every single one of them despite the size. Haku was shocked. He jumped away from his spots, aiming to keep the enemy on his feet so that Zabuza-sama could end him. Zabuza brought down his blade, intending on slicing Naruto in half. However, Naruto caught it with his hand. That is when Zabuza noticed that his hand did not seem like flesh anymore, and there was a strange sound like metal grinding against metal. Naruto turned and slashed, but Zabuza jumped upwards. Zabuza tried to spin in mid-air as a mirror appeared above him, allowing him to plant his feet on it. Another mirror appeared in front of him and one behind Naruto. Zabuza pushed his blade through. The large blade was about to stab Naruto in the back. Naruto could not move in time. It was over, Zabuza thought to himself. However, Naruto dropped. He dropped to the ground, lowering his head as the blade passed over. The movement was spotless, perfect. Despite him having no idea what was going on behind him, he was able to react in a split second. When he came back up, he shattered the mirror, forcing Zabuza to jump away. He was on Zabuza's tail in an instant. They clashed with blades. Zabuza found himself being outwitted. The kid was better than him in swordsmanship. This style of fighting was unknown to him. The blade work was so fast and quick, using speed and quick offensive attacks. Zabuza found himself getting cut on several occasions. Haku was trying to throw needles after needles. Things were not working out as he thought. "Do it, Haku," Zabuza said, seeing that this person was a lot more dangerous than he could ever believe. Suddenly mirrors surrounded all of them. As Naruto did not pay them any mind as he kept on slicing and hacking. Zabuza had several cuts on his arms and legs by this point. That is when Zabuza threw himself back. Haku appeared in all of the mirrors and launched Senbons down towards them. He might be fast, but he wouldn't be able to dodge all of them in time. Another hurl of Senbons were thrown after the first case. However, all of them stopped in mid-air as Naruto's eyes were closed, as he seemed to be struggling with a great amount of control. When he snapped open his eyes, they were all thrown back. Zabuza was unlucky to be inside. He was hit with a dozen of them in his arms and legs and in his chest. Naruto then rushed forward to slice him in half. Haku jumped in the way and blocked it with two giant Senbons. Haku was shocked by the strength as he was knocked back. However, he still kept his guard up until Naruto released all the weight on his blade, causing Haku to move forward with the force that he was using in the beginning. However, that was a mistake because he lost his footing. Naruto then pushed his blade up, releasing it as he did. He ducked under the strike and slammed a forceful punch into Haku's gut. Blood exploded out of his mouth. Zabuza, seeing his opportunity, swung his blade to take Naruto's head off. However, Naruto grabbed Haku's face that was leaning over and pushed it upwards before he leaned back. Zabuza's eyes went wide as blood splattered as his giant blade tore Haku's head clean off. That is when Naruto's blade dropped perfectly in his hand. He then sliced Zabuza's gut straight open. A lot of organs started to pour out as he collapsed down to his knees, losing grip on his blade. Haku's body fell as well. The ice mirror started to crumble and break apart. It collapsed down. Naruto got back up, fully on his feet. As he looked around, the ice mirror destroyed. The bodies were the only thing remaining. However, he had to move fast. Naruto Rinnegan started to swirl. Something unusual happened. A dark smoke seemed to be sucked out of the bodies and pulled towards both of his eyes. Once it did, Naruto dropped down towards his knees as he held both of his eyes as they seemed to be in pain. He was hyperventilating a bit before he slowly got back up. He shook his head. The process was a lot, but it was worth it within the end. Naruto looked down towards his shadow, as there were two extra shadows there before they merged into his own. With that, he picked up the corpses. He created a water clone, who went to get rid of the staining of the blood on the ground, and to make sure that the area looked like it just hadn't been through a battle. Meanwhile that was going on, Team 7 was totally unaware that they were walking into a big trap. As they were proceeding, they were currently on the boat making their way. They had decided to continue the mission despite what they were told and despite the fact that they were lied to. Mito couldn't with good conscience allow the people there to suffer. Sasuke wanted to test his strength to see how much he has grown. Sakura on the other hand was unsure, but She didn't want to be the one to let them down, so she agreed. She really should have stuck to her instincts, but she decided to go because she didn't want to let them down. Peer pressure, basically. Unaware that they were walking into something they were not ready for. Meanwhile that was going on, Kakashi was having a strange feeling. Ever since he felt something, he was feeling off, like there was something that he was not seeing. His instincts were telling him that something was wrong. Maybe it was because they were going against protocol, because they wanted to help the people of the Land of Wave. That must be the case. He shook his head as they proceeded on. They were going to help the people there. Backup would arrive soon enough for them. Well, to not be outmatched if the ninjas there are stronger than they thought. Time skip. They finally got off the boats. Tazuna thanked the individual as they proceeded onwards. The closer they got, the more mist they found. The place was getting so thick. However, Tazuna said that it was usual for this area, as they were nearby the coast and the water after all. They could still see though, as they proceeded forward. The ominous feeling did not go away. It was still there, still stronger than ever. Kakashi told his team to stick close. As they kept on walking, Sakura didn't feel safe. Now she was regretting agreeing to go. Every little twitch, every sound that she heard, frightened her, as she started to get scared. However, she said nothing about it as they moved through the mist. The closer they got, the more tension seemed to pick up in the area. That was until Kakashi suddenly drew out a kunai. The kids were confused because they weren't able to see it. Kakashi's blade was struck with so much force that it shattered. The blade of the kunai shattered. Kakashi found himself in a sticky situation. He had no choice but to swap with a log, hoping that his team would not be slaughtered in that instant, because this person, whoever they were fast. The blade sliced right through the log. Mito, Sakura, Sasuke, the client, none of them were prepared for that. The person's feet slammed into the Uchiha's face. Mito was kicked in the stomach. The both of them were blasted away. Sakura tried to move, but she was backhanded towards the ground. Kakashi rushed out. This time, he infused his kunai with chakra. It clashed against the unbelievable powerful weapon, and it still cracked slightly, despite the amount of chakra. Kakashi wasted no time, his headband already lifted. The person was wearing a mask. Kakashi could not see any eye holes on the mask, but the person was somehow predicting and reacting to all of his movements. It was bland, completely dark, like a complete abyss. Nothingness, the representation of said mask. Kakashi clashed with the person until his weapon broke once again. Having to go hand to hand and dodge, Kakashi was surprised by the speed. He was kicked in the stomach. He was forced to dress back. Picking out two kunais, he infused them with lightning chakra as he launched them. However, that was just a distraction. Kakashi barreled forward at the same time, quickly pulling out a small weapon before it enlarged into a Fuma Shuriken. He launched it towards the individual. However, the person jumped right through the center as both of his lightning-enhanced kunais hit the ground. However, Kakashi was ready for that. He yanked on the ninja wire that was on the Fuma Shuriken, so now it was going upwards to slice through the individual's face. A massive fireball was hurled from the side, from the Uchiha who had recovered. Mito had launched two chains as she sent them underground. They broke from the ground as they held the individual's feet. Sakura fired two kunais towards his back. He was stuck in the center. They surely had him by now, as everything connected. Kakashi's eyes went wide though. Right when a shuriken hit, he saw the smoke and Mito felt her chains, the tightened hold that they had on his legs, vanish. Kakashi suddenly screamed. "Sensei!" they shouted. Kakashi was forced to jump back. There was a large slash in his face, cutting right through his mask, as blood was leaking down towards his chin. The individual stood there, his blade dripping with Kakashi's blood. The Sharingan was a very useful tool. However, it could not tell the difference between a normal person or a shadow clone. It was a good thing that he had that jutsu. It came in handy. And now, he simply stood there. An ominous feeling fell on all of their shoulders. Sakura collapsed down to her knees. The bloodlust was so great. Sasuke was trembling. As Kakashi had his weapon out, he could not even tend to his wound. This person was fast, perhaps even faster than him. Mito was trembling as Naruto raised his blade and pointed towards the copy ninja. "Today you die," he said to him, as Mito hand trembled as she reached into her pouch. The first thing that popped in her mind was the kunai that she could use just in case. This guy terrified her. She could feel her entire body shaking. She slowly brought it out, and that was a mistake, as Naruto's eyes situated on the weapon, and he vanished. Kakashi vanished as well. That is when Mito saw the blade materialize in front of her. She could not keep up with this individual's speed. Was this it? Was she going to die? But guys, let me end this episode right here. If you want to see the next part, do like, subscribe, comment down below, and turn on that bell notification to stay posted. But I'm out for now. See you guys soon. Peace.